often that you won't find time. You have to make it. And I must say it a lot because I've started to get asked how you're supposed to actually do that. I hear from a lot of people that they're busy and truly don't have the time they need to get everything done. And I'm primarily talking here about people who have various responsibilities, but are also trying to, quote, find time to take better care of themselves, work out, learn a new skill, start a business, lean into a hobby, things that are nice but easily get downgraded on the priority list when life gets a little extra busy. Which I don't know how it goes for you, but for me, I feel like those things just keep dropping further and further down the priority totem pole the older that I get, which in reality, they should become more and more of a priority because your girl's mental health depends on it. And let's be real, there's truth to the statement, nothing works unless you do. And I don't mean that in like a dream chasing, hustle shaming kind of way. I mean that literally. If you are not functioning because your physical and mental health has fallen so far down the priority list, then everything else, like your actual non-negotiable responsibilities, will stop working too. All right, someone has demanded to be part of this party, as usual. Can you stop crying now? So, how do we make time? Hi, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Joey, and I am a full-time work-from-home, stay-at-home mama, an author, and the person who is here to encourage you to become the main character in your own life. I get it. You're busy. I'm busy. We're all freaking busy. And I'm willing to bet that if you're here, then you're probably the kind of person who tends to put everyone else and their needs before your own. Guilty. Then we wake up one morning, burnt out, exhausted, and unfulfilled, and we're wondering how on earth we got here and what the heck can we do about it? Whether you're trying to find time to chase a dream, explore a new hobby, take care of yourself, learn something new, navigate a new career, or just to simply relax and rest, the root of the issue is that time keeps eluding you. The desire is there. Maybe you even have like a framework of a plan, but the days keep passing you by, one after the other, and before you know it, it's been months, maybe even years, and you still haven't managed to make it happen. You're tempted to give up. You tell yourself it's just not in the cards for you, or my favorite saying is, it's not the season. Yes, the reality is that there are certain seasons of life that things are harder, or you're busier, you're stretched thin, or you're just emotionally exhausted. And it is so important, regardless of what it is that you're trying to navigate, to pay attention to how you feel. But I would argue that it's especially important in those seasons to make the time for the things that matter to you. Otherwise, you can accidentally stumble into a life that we don't want. Because remember, what you do every day becomes your everyday. We are what we repeatedly do. So how, despite whatever season of life you're in, do you make time? The first thing you need to do is get clear. You probably have a vague sense of what you want. I want to get in shape, I want to read more, I want to feel better. For many of us, that's where it stops. We let the desire hang out there, but it will float away if it's not anchored to anything. Without clarity, we can't do anything intentionally. So you have to define the desire. Once you have the desire defined, look at it from all angles. Break it down, get a robust understanding of what you would actually like to incorporate and how you would like to incorporate it into your life. Here's an example. Maybe you desire to get into better shape. Obviously, that will look different for every person. For the sake of this example, let's say that getting in shape for you means eating better and moving your body more. Good, but let's get a little clearer. What does eating better actually look like? Maybe you focus on reaching a specific protein and fiber intake goal. What is required from you to make that happen? Maybe you need to do research on high protein and high fiber foods. You might need to incorporate some time to do some like scrolling on Pinterest or TikTok for ideas. You probably need to meal plan to be able to stick to this goal. Remember, these are all things that require time. This reminder isn't to discourage you, it's to help you be successful. Because a lot of times what happens is people don't account for all of something and then they get overwhelmed and discouraged and they bail using the excuse that they, quote, don't have time. Remember, we're making time here. So to make time, we have to have a full understanding of what kind of time is required. What does moving your body more look like? Maybe that means going for a walk 3 or 4 times a week. So ask yourself some questions. How long of a walk would be satisfying to you? Are you measuring this walk and the satisfaction of it by distance or the time permitted? What days of the week do you want to incorporate these walks? Will you be walking in your neighborhood, or do you need to travel to a gym or a park? If there's inclement weather, what's your plan B? Now you know exactly what you're working with. Now it's time to identify the why. And y'all, this has to go like a little deeper than I just want to, okay? If wanting to was enough, you would not be here, sitting here, watching this video, wondering how you're gonna make time. I wanna finish my next book, but I still have a day job and a toddler demanding all of my attention all day long. At the end of the day, I'm le tired, and I do not le care that I le want to. Because the reality is making time generally means sacrificing something else. Now, I am not the person who's going to sit here and tell you that you need to sacrifice your well-being to learn how to crochet because you want to. I believe that you can sleep the right amount and still make the time to do the things that you need to do to make things happen. And in order to sacrifice something, in order to make yourself a little bit uncomfortable, you have to be super committed to it. And in order to establish a firm commitment, you have to be invested in the why of it all. So let's go back to our example. You want to make time to get in better shape. Why? Well, maybe you want to look and feel better in your clothes, or maybe you want to lower your blood pressure or your cholesterol. Why am I struggling with that? Or maybe you want the stamina to keep up with your kids, or you want to be able to physically do the things required of you to take care of the life that you want to live without being in excruciating pain. You see, there's always a root somewhere. Let's look at another example. Maybe you want to make time to explore a new hobby. Why? Well, you're feeling bored and understimulated. You want the sense of accomplishment, like you like the endorphins that are released when you learn something new or you overcome a challenge, and you want to stimulate your brain. See? Roots. The roots are what the desire is anchored to. Now we're getting somewhere. So once you know why you want to do something, it's time to commit to making it a priority. We don't bail on the important things, especially the things that other people are relying on us for. But we are often inclined to bail on the things that we do for ourselves. I could go into how messed up that is, but you probably already know. So how do we start treating the things that we want to make time for with the same respect that we treat our other priorities? Well, that's just it. We have to start treating the things we want to make time for with the same respect we treat our other priorities. This looks a lot like saying no to things and eliminating distractions. This might be a good time to engage this mantra that I adopted years ago when I started to make the shift. Stop disappointing yourself in favor of pleasing someone else. Now comes the fun part, recognizing that you actually have time. I can already hear some of you arguing with me right now, and that's okay. You have some valid points. I know you're busy, but you do have time. You do. How do you manage your time? Are you a paper planner kind of person? Do you use an app, good old iCalendar, Google Calendar? If your answer to this is none of those things, that's probably a good place to start. People who feel like they never have any money or question where all their money is going to are people that probably don't have a budget. Time is our most valuable resource. We owe it to ourselves to pay it some attention. Once you have your life mapped out in your calendar, do a little assessment and see where, if anywhere, you can do some like finagling to fit this new thing you want to do into your schedule. You might know your routine well enough to know where your like normal pitfall moments are. You know the ones that you find yourself wasting time, whether that's with like a doom scroll on your phone or some other kind of time wasting activity. Once you've identified the block or blocks of time available, schedule your new priority in. If you've done the assessment and you still can't figure out where your new priority can fit in, we're gonna do a little exercise. It's called time tracking, and yes, it is about as aggressive as it sounds, but I promise it is super effective. There's a free download in the pinned comments below. How this works is you're going to track your time in 15-minute increments for an entire day for an entire week. I promise this is such an effective way of identifying how you're actually spending your time. The key here though is to be honest. If you spent your whole hour scrolling TikTok, you have to say so. It's also super effective in identifying the areas where you can potentially either streamline or systemize or outsource, but that's not what this video is about. We can get into it in another video. If you want to, let me know down below. While this exercise is effective at assessing your time and finding the existing like white space or wasted moments, it's ultimately the most effective at encouraging you to spend your time wisely. Just like a money budget keeps you in check with how you're allocating your dollar bills, time tracking makes us see the value of each moment and make the most of the time that we actually have. If you're still having trouble making the time, run your choices through a filter. Now, before you say anything here, I understand that there are certain things that cannot be run through a filter. That's like parenting obligations, employment obligations, things like that are filterless, but you and I can both agree that there are certain things that we allocate our time to that if given the chance to pause and like really think about them, we would likely choose differently. Your series of filter questions might look different, but for some examples, those could be, how does saying yes to this impact my ability to make time for the thing I want to do? Does saying yes to this thing bring me joy, fulfillment, and satisfaction? Here's a good one. Do you want to do it? And finally, does saying yes to this cause me great sacrifice either in the short term or in the long run? With that, I'm going to sign off. I hope this video helps you to start making the time to go after what you want. I promise you have it in you. And I extra promise you actually have the time. You just need to get very intentional with how you're spending it. Comment below and tell me something that you want to make the time for this year. As always, thank you so much for being here. If you wouldn't mind taking a hot minute and like doing all the YouTube-y things down below, go ahead and like the video, subscribe, remember to comment something that you want to make time for. I'd really appreciate it. I am on a mission to get my first 1,000 subscribers, so every little bit of your support really, really helps. I appreciate you guys so much, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye!